interrupt regular programming for this special presentation. Law & Order SVU can be seen Thursday at 2 a.m. right here on 5 on Your Side.
Everyone, and welcome to Harris-Stowe State University. I'm Kelly Jackson with 5 on Your Side.
And I'm Michelle Esswein with iHeartRadio. A new mayor will soon lead St. Louis, and tonight you'll be hearing from the candidates on 3 topics: economic development, education, and public safety.
We want to thank the candidates for being here tonight. Let's begin with Harris-Stowe State University President Dr. Dwan Warmack.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Regents, faculty, staff, and students, we are honored to host tonight's forum here at Harris-Stowe State University. This year, we celebrate 160 years of providing exceptional higher education experience to the diverse populations in this region. Our goal is to continue to increase enrollment, expand degree programs, and offer the most affordable and accessible degree in the greater St. Louis region. We look forward to working with the next mayor to ensure every St. Louis regent with the dream of going to college becomes a reality. Thank you, and welcome to Harris-Stowe.
Tonight, each candidate will have 30 seconds for their opening statements, 30 seconds to answer each of the questions, and 30 seconds for closing statements. The candidates are seated from left to right in primary ballot order.
And the members from the League of Women Voters are here to keep us all on time. The audience has been asked to not applaud or demonstrate and could be removed if they do so. Let's begin with opening statements. Alderman Antonio French.
Thank you. My name is Antonio French, and I'm the only candidate on this stage that has a real plan to deal with the most pressing issue in our city, and that's violent crime. You can see our plan at comprehensiveplan.org. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch has called it the most detailed of all the other candidates. This is a plan with real numbers and real solutions, not like Lyta's plan that adds $34 million to our spending without any indication of where it's coming from. We need a mayor that accepts responsibility for every neighborhood in the city. When I'm mayor, the buck will stop with me.
Board of Aldermen, President Lewis Reed.
I'm running for mayor because as a father of 4, I understand the challenges that many families face across our city. As a husband and a person who's lost a family member due to gun violence, I understand the toll that violence families. And as the president of the Board of Aldermen, a person who has worked to turn our school system around, I understand the importance of public education in the city of St. Louis.
Alderman Jeffrey Boyd.
Good evening. I'm running for mayor of the city of St. Louis. As an Army veteran, having served over 23 years, having 23 years of leadership experience, I'm guided by 3 principles. Number 1, integrity. You can count on me and you can trust me. Number 2, transparency. City Hall books will always be open to you. And vision. I have a vision for the city of St. Louis where businesses are thriving, where neighborhoods are safer, and where you have a quality education and people and our neighborhoods are stronger and people are feeling good about the city of St. Louis.
Treasurer Shara Jones.
Good evening. My name's Shara Jones. I'm the treasurer for the city of St. Louis, and I am running for mayor because right now we have too many gaps. Gaps between neighborhoods, haves and have-nots, and gaps between neighborhoods, excuse me. It's important that you look over the entire career of all of the candidates sitting in front of you this evening. And I have been, I'm done. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Alderwoman Lyta Crewson.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here tonight and caring about who the next mayor is. My name's Lyta Crewson. I've spent my entire career taking on some of St. Louis's toughest issues. I've battled the drug companies, big tobacco, and the NRA on behalf of St. Louisans. I think the next mayor ought to be capable and tough enough to take on our city's big issues. Job 1 for the next mayor is neighborhood safety. That means prevention programs as well as law enforcement, and I look forward to talking with you more about that.
Bill Haas.
Good evening. I'm Bill Haas, and I'm glad there's no pressure on me tonight. This is the 5th time I've run for mayor. That shouldn't mean everything, of course, but it should mean something, because if you don't believe that our problems are solvable and that you have a contribution to make to help solve them, then you'll have no chance at all because your vision won't be set high enough. And I haven't got the level playing field I deserve. The Post-Dispatch, those 3 fools on talk radio, 5 debates I wasn't invited to that Jeffrey Boyd was. I know we look a lot alike, but still. How dare they disrespect my dreams for public service? So my goal tonight is to level the playing field.
Jimmy Matthews.
I'm running for mayor because I want to represent the people of the city of St. Louis and not corporate greed. As your mayor, Jimmy Matthews, as your mayor, will work to improve our neighborhoods and reduce crime. Jimmy Matthews will work to provide grants to homeowners to repair their homes. Jimmy Matthews will reduce police violence, crime, help homeless, help the elderly and youth. Jimmy Matthews will develop business and entrepreneurship and jobs. Employ yourself.
Andrew Jones.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Jones, Republican candidate for mayor. I believe our city deserves better. Our city is at a crossroads. In order to turn the city around, that requires that we have a plan, that we have a leader that can infuse a plan that actually works for the city of St. Louis. I am that leader. I have the plan. And that plan consists of 4 parts. I call it a Grand Slam plan. It consists of safety. It consists of economic development. It consists of working with the youth and also civic excellence.
Rob Cunningham.
Libertarian Rob Cunningham. I am a rock and roll politician. I'm not the smartest libertarian. I'm not the richest libertarian. I'm not the most politically educated libertarian. A lot of libertarians think I'm not even the most libertarian. I'm a rock and roll libertarian. I want to get things done. Racial trust is my #1 issue. That is where this really needs to go in this election. Police counselors, we need a counseling wing in the police section. We need jobs in St. Louis for St. Louisans. We got plenty of jobs, but St. Louisans don't work there. And bottom-up taxes. Lower the taxes for the bottom first before we get to the top. Thank you very much. Libertarian Rob Cunningham.
Jonathan McFarland.
First off, I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and I thank all the viewers for taking time with their busy schedules to watch this and participate in this democratic process. I'm running for mayor because I believe that we need change, and we need something that we haven't seen before, and I think that I am that. So thank you very much.
Our first question goes to Mr. Reed. In the past month, a 15-year-old girl was murdered. Another 12-year-old girl was kidnapped. What will you do to protect our city's children?
Well, first thing I think we need to do is to understand that public safety or crime has more than just one component. It's more than just adding additional police officers to the streets of the city of St. Louis. We have to create jobs and opportunities for people all across the city. And I think we need to be able to address some of these issues of vacant, abandoned buildings in our city by creating a first-time home buyers program with the carrying costs that we're using to carry the current LRA properties today.
Mr. Boyd.
Yes, thank you. I'm deeply troubled and saddened that the 12-year-old was accosted in my neighborhood. And that's because we have far too many vacant buildings and vacant lots across this city, and we have no one with real leadership to put a plan together to rebuild our neighborhoods. I have 24 years of housing development experience. I provided quality, affordable housing during that period of time. I know for a fact, if we rebuild our neighborhoods by rehabbing the vacant buildings and putting homes on these vacant lots, we eliminate the slum and blight, and we will not have children exposed to those type of negative activities.
Ms. Jones.
We need to focus in on prevention and deterrence methods and really put our arms around our youth to see what the root causes of crime are. We've been tough on crime for years, but I'm talking about being smart on crime, meaning stop criminalizing people for being poor, for being sick, for having mental health issues, and really put our arms around our youth to see what the root causes are, fix those causes, and make sure that they have employment and other things that keep them productive.
Ms. Crewson.
Thank you all. The stories that you referred to are so sad, and my heart breaks for those families and also for the 188 families who suffered the loss of a loved one last year and the year before. Neighborhood safety is really 2 parts. The first part is prevention. That means jobs for kids after school and during the summer. That means alternative sentencing. That means alternative dispute resolution. Those are the things that we need to focus on to prevent crime. And then, of course, we also need to focus on law enforcement.
Mr. Haas.
There are some things we can do about crime in the short run. Monitored cameras on every corner downtown, requiring lock boxes for guns in cars, and targeting repeat offenders, especially for gun crimes, and a sales tax for more police instead of body cameras, a north-south metro link, or a soccer stadium. When I get my money for police and my education initiatives, they can have their damn soccer stadium and not before. But if we don't address the causes of crime, our grandchildren will still be asking for more police on the street, and that's education, and I look forward to speaking about education.
And again, the question is, a 15-year-old girl was killed and a 12-year-old girl was kidnapped, all in the past month. What will you do specifically to protect our city's children?
That's my question.
Yes.
Yes. We have an organization called People Involved for a Better Community. In the 27th Ward, where the 15-year-old girl was killed on Thekla and Mimica, is in the 27th Ward. We have an organization called People Involved for a Better Community. If the people in the community do not get involved in what's happening in our community, crime will never be solved. So when we get involved, parents and teachers and everybody that's in the community become active, where we will escort our kids to the bus stop. We need to stop busing. We ought to let our kids go work.
Mr. Jones?
I would immediately deploy personnel that may be sitting idly by to take care of proactive policing. We will certainly concentrate on those criminals who commit violent acts, and we will certainly take care of community policing and those lower level tiers of policing as they come forth. But we certainly will concentrate on eliminating and precipitously dropping the violent crimes associated with those tragedies that happen to the young people.
Mr. Cunningham?
This 15-year-old girl got caught in the crossfire of gangs. Gangs are responsible for a big chunk of the murders that happen in St. Louis. I want to work with the gangs. I want to sit down with our know this happens with my homicide department and gangs, but this needs to get at the top of the list and have the gangs help us with the crimes that are being committed by non-gang members. This is the serious situation nobody's talking about. And we need volunteer patrols, which are happening, of citizens with cell phones in cars checking out the scene. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I am so sorry for what happened to those two ladies. And I feel that we need to address the culture of our city. There's a culture of crime. I know because I grew up in this city, and I know that it is related to many aspects of our society. And so we need to address that, and we need to start being more inclusive to people who otherwise feel like they're not part of our society. And so programs that I would create would do just that. And you can check out my website at mcfarlandformayor.org.
Mr. French?
Thank you. Violent crime in our city is out of control. This is a map of just the violent crime we've seen in the last 7 days in the city of St. Louis. This is why this is the top issue facing our city. My comprehensive plan targets the 15 neighborhoods in our city that account for the majority of our violence. We need a comprehensive approach to changing the conditions that lead to violence. This isn't just police. This is also economic development, better opportunities for kids, changing the culture in our communities. This is my top priority, and I promise that if we cannot reduce the number of people shot and killed in the city of St. Louis, I will not run for a second term. That's how important this is.
Our next question, Mr. Boyd. Should public dollars be used to bring sports teams to the city?
Sure, that's a tough question, but here's what I use my guiding principles of walking through that. Number one, will it create meaningful, impactful jobs for people in our neighborhood to be employed? Number two, will it really bring enough revenue to the city of St. Louis whereby we can give pay raises to city employees and we can provide better quality services? And number three, does it actually fit within a strategic plan of the city of St. Louis whereby we can leverage that to do more economic development and create jobs throughout the whole city of St. Louis?
Ms. Jones?
At this time, I don't think that I can support that because the city's credit rating has been downgraded. Also, we have a looming budget shortfall of $20 million, also a looming pension shortfall. So we need to get our financial house in order before we give out more millions of dollars to millionaires to build a new stadium. And then also, if we are going to, in the future, in any new development, we need to attach community benefit agreements to make sure we're getting a good return on investment for our money.
Ms. Crewson?
Thank you. You know, incentives for sports teams are very controversial today. Every single project should be evaluated if we're going to give an incentive. It's part art and it's part science. But if it does not generate new revenue for the city of St. Louis, more than what we are giving to the sports team, then absolutely not. We should not do that. I love soccer. I think many of you love soccer as well, but I would prefer not to own a soccer stadium.
Mr. Haas.